Hmm. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. This is Kitty Boitnott of Boitnott Coaching. Last week I suggested that you might want to consider whether it was time to reinvent yourself. Today I want to ask you to consider whether it's time to rebrand yourself. And the reason I'm thinking in terms of branding is that just this past week I spoke to a group of job seekers, and I reminded them that they each have a brand, whether they recognize it or realize it or want to be aware of it or not. Everybody has a reputation, which is pretty much what your brand is. And in our modern pop culture, we need to be aware of that. When we're putting things out on social media, whether it's Facebook or Pinterest or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, Instagram, we are projecting ourselves into the ether, the social connections that we all have with one another that can expand out over the entire globe. So my question to you is, what is your brand? And is it a brand that you are proud of, or is it time for you to consider rebranding yourself? Years ago when I was, and I mean years ago, when I was a senior in high school, we were getting ready to vote for, most popular, funniest, most dependable, most likely to succeed, all of those different characteristics. And the girl who was sitting behind me, who was a friend of mine, said, "Well, I know what I'm voting for Kitty for." And I was surprised that I was even going to be on the list of who she might be voting for. It had not occurred to me that I was somebody that anybody would be voting for. And she said, "It's obvious. You're the most dependable. You're the most dependable girl I know." And I was really, I like stopped in my tracks at the very idea. And yes, I am dependable. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I will bend over backwards and do everything that I can in order to make sure that I do what I tell you I will do. I don't often promise to do things because if I commit to something, I'm going to do it. And what shocked me about my friend's observation was that it hadn't occurred to me that everybody was that way. I just felt like everybody else was dependable too. Now, of course, that's not true, is it? But back then, I hadn't really thought about it that much, I guess. Well, as it turned out, I was voted most dependable girl in my class. Another word that was often used to describe me was nice. And nice has become sort of a negative these days. People who are nice are seen as pushovers and people who can be taken advantage of. So, I want to be careful about how I frame myself as being nice, because I certainly don't want to be seen as someone who could be taken advantage of, right? So, what is your brand? I have been working on my business the last 2 years, working on my brand as a career coach, as a life coach, as a stress management coach and speaker. And that is a change for me from teacher and librarian, which was what I was in my previous life. So, my question to you is, what is your brand? Is it a brand you are happy to have? Is it time to rebrand yourself, along with maybe being time to reinvent yourself? Just asking. I don't know. Only you can tell that. And I'm going to suggest that if you decide that it is time for a rebranding exercise, you might want to get some help with that. So that's the message for the day. Consider whether or not you are thrilled with your current brand. If not, is it time to reinvent and rebrand? And if so, what kind of help do you need moving yourself into your new whatever it is that you want to be newly branded for? So that's the message. I hope you will think about it and consider it and let me know if you have any thoughts regarding it. Let me say this before I stop for the morning. I do really appreciate when you let me know that you've watched the video and read the message, one or the other, and that it made a difference for you. And I do get those kinds of messages. So anytime a message that I share with you, if it lands for you, like it's something just for you, and it resonates with you and you appreciated the message or it made you think, I would love to hear that. And likewise, if you have suggestions for improvement or the message didn't hit you right, rather than to unsubscribe to the message, let me know what your recommendations would be or what your critique would be. I'm open to hearing suggestions as well as thanks and appreciation. So that's the message for today. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday, and I will talk with you next week.